It starts, unexpectedly, with a coat. Absolutely love the fit, she says, eyes lighting up. I love this coat. He smiles, a little amused, a little proud. Thank you, he replies. You know, I've been spending the whole week around Anthony and Jeremy. I've been doing things with them non-stop, and those guys are so stylish. He pauses, almost sheepishly. And the fashion on this show? He continues. It really made me think, man, I've got to step up my game a little. I know some things about fashion, but this time I felt like I had to really bring it. The response is immediate. The bar has been raised, my friend, she tells him. You look fantastic. It's a light exchange, playful and warm, but it sets the tone for a conversation that quickly moves far beyond clothes, into creativity, provocation, and a role unlike anything he's ever done before. A villain like no other, this character, Ashton, is not subtle. He's eccentric, seductive, unsettling, and deliberately unforgettable. This is a version of you we've never seen, she says. You're a totally eccentric villain. Then she adds, with a grin, it's basically an STD that people actually want. He laughs, the kind of laugh that acknowledges the absurdity while embracing it. The role is outrageous by design. And yet, beneath its provocative surface lies something more thoughtful, more unsettling. The obvious question follows. Have the people closest to him seen it? What do your friends and family think? She asks. What does Milo think of this character? He shakes his head. Nobody's seen it, he admits. I actually realized the other day, wait, this is coming out. Maybe I should know what I'm talking about. So he did what anyone would do. I watched a couple of things, he says. And honestly, this show is wild. It's a wild ride. Medicine disguised as candy. Trying to explain the show, he searches for the right metaphor. It's like medicine and candy put together, he says finally. On the surface, it dazzles. The fashion is striking. The cinematography is lush, intentional, beautiful. Every frame feels stylized, elevated, seductive. And then you've got these salacious relationships, he continues, these characters that pull you in. But underneath the gloss, the show does something unexpected. It's thought-provoking, he says. You suddenly find yourself going, oh, wow, this isn't some distant sci-fi fantasy. We're not that far off, he explains. This isn't flying cars. This is 5 minutes in the future. 5 minutes, close enough to feel uncomfortable. The show examines the secondary and tertiary consequences of society's obsession with beauty, perfection, desire. It doesn't lecture. It seduces first, then asks questions that linger long after the screen goes dark. It's contemplating what happens when we push those ideas just a little further, he says. And it's unsettling because it doesn't feel impossible, answering Ryan Murphy's call. What makes this project even more surprising is that he wasn't actively looking for one. At this stage of his life, he doesn't need to be. You weren't out searching for a new role, she points out. Your businesses are incredibly successful. Then comes the pivot, and then Ryan Murphy pulls you back in. The question is obvious. Did it awaken something? Did it give you the bug again? She asks. Do you want to do more acting after this? Or are you content with this being a one-off? He doesn't rush his answer. I don't know, he says honestly. He explains how different things feel now compared to earlier in his career. For so long, it was about working to survive, he reflects. Working to make money. Working to build a lifestyle. That pressure is gone. Now I'm in a really lucky place, he says, where I get to choose projects based on whether they feel fun, interesting, creatively challenging. This one did. When Ryan brought this to me, it checked all those boxes, he explains. It felt exciting. It felt different, and perhaps most importantly, it felt personal. I was really honored that he wrote this role for me, he says. That he thought of me for it. He pauses, humility cutting through the confidence. I'm lucky, he says simply. We'll see what happens next. A role that reflects the moment. What makes Ashton so compelling is not just his eccentricity, but his relevance. He exists at the intersection of desire and consequence, pleasure and risk. He's exaggerated, but not implausible. The show doesn't ask audiences to imagine an entirely new world, only a slightly altered version of the one they already inhabit. That closeness is what gives the character his power. He's disturbing because he's familiar, one could argue. He's not a monster from another planet, he's a reflection, and in that sense, the performance marks a fascinating moment in the actor's career. A return to the screen not driven by necessity, but by curiosity. Stepping back into the spotlight, on his own terms, there's something quietly powerful about that. He doesn't need the validation. He doesn't need the paycheck. He doesn't need the spotlight. And yet, here he is, dressed impeccably, embracing a role that is bold, strange, and deeply uncomfortable. Not because he has to, but because he wants to. I'm blessed, he says again, almost as an afterthought. It's not false modesty, it's perspective, and as the conversation winds down, the tone remains warm, appreciative, unforced. Thank you so much, she says, and just like that, the moment closes, stylish, thoughtful, and lingering, much like the role itself.